Town. This is Sports Bash, presented by Ticketbash.com. Sports Bash, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay for a service fee. Check out Ticketbash.com for some great flyaway packages, including this weekend for Jets versus Dolphins in Miami, and later this month for Giants versus Falcons in Atlanta. Sports Bash is also presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookWhoMadeIt.org. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. By Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles in Rockville Center, Long Island's go-to store for sports, entertainment, and political memorabilia since 1996. They're also available for charity auctions. Mention Sports Bash when you come in. You get a free autograph photo. Stay tuned later in the show and find out what the Living Legends item of the week is. Give Warren a call, 516-826-4000. By Bearcat Billing Service, your trusted partner in medical billing. Experience the Bearcat way, personal, professional, and tailored to your needs. Give Gary a call at 516-796-2400. Tell him Sports Bash sent you. By the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. And by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more info, call them at 516-509-8277. Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. Welcome to Sports Bash. 516-465-3990 is the number to call, and now is a good time to get your phone calls in because we've got an action-packed show later on at around 1:20. I'm going to be joined by my good friend, MLB Media senior contributor Sweeny Murti. He'll talk about the Yankees and the Mets and the baseball offseason. That's coming up around 1:20, then around 1:40. We're going to be joined by the radio play-by-play voice of the New York Red Bulls, Matt Harmon. The Red Bulls taking on the LA Galaxy this Saturday in LA in MLS Cup as the Red Bulls go for their first ever MLS Cup championship, and they have been a Cinderella story so far, and we'll talk to Matt about it at around 1:40. We'll play Stump the Wiz later. We'll take a look at this week in sports history, and we'll check out the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. And again, 516-465-3990 is the number to call on the show. Also, and this happens anytime I host a show, whether it's here, FAN, whatever, sometimes you could be a little bashful and not want to call a sports talk show. That's fine. That's why we've got the chat on YouTube. So if you're following the show on YouTube, just comment, live chat along with the show. Would be happy to respond. So you have that at your disposal as well. Thinking all day about how to start the show today. And for me, it's been a long day because I did updates on Boomer and Geo this morning. So I had even more time waking up early to think about how to start this show. And I just feel like we have started shows way too much talking about nonsense. And I'll start with the Jets. I mean, it doesn't get any more nonsensical than the Jets. So I don't really want to talk about them. And the Giants are trying to get to that point where they equal the Jets in nonsensical stuff. So I really don't want to talk about the Giants because the Jets play the Dolphins. At least there's some interesting aspects of a Jets-Dolphins game because it's a storied rivalry. Both teams certainly want to beat the crap out of each other. So they're at least, and I could speak as a Jet fan, there is that interest in watching the game on Sunday. The Giants-Saints, who cares? I mean, it's enough. Both teams playing out the string. At least the Jets-Dolphins game has some semblance of interest because there's some intrigue with Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to come back? Who's going to be the Jets coach? But the Giants and the Saints, and I think they're both playing at the same time on Sunday. So, you pick your poison. Watch the Jet game or watch the Giant game. But in any event, I don't want to start there, even though I just did that. But and we're going to talk to Sweeny Murti about the baseball offseason in a little bit. But that's kind of where I wanted to start because baseball's got to do something about free agency. When you look at the hockey free agency period, the basketball free agency period. As much as I don't like the legal tampering periods that both of those leagues have, and the NFL also has that too. There's a legal tampering period and then free agency starts. Baseball does not have that. There is a day that free agency starts. It's a certain time after the World Series. And it takes so long for something to develop. I mean, this Juan Soto sweepstakes, it is taking longer than trying to watch a 3-hour movie. You know, that's what it seems like. It's painful. And whether you're a Yankee fan or a Met fan, it's hard every day is a different rumor, and I don't even believe most of it. And that's going to be our poll question later today. I'll give you a little, tease on that. But the baseball offseason sucks. It really has turned out to suck because you're waiting and waiting, and none of these other big things are going to happen until the first shoe drops, and that's Juan Soto. We did have Blake Snell. I think the pitching side of things is a little bit different market than Juan Soto. But Juan Soto is holding up all of these other things from happening. Where's Pete Alonso going to go? Where's Anthony Santander is going to go? A whole bunch of other things are waiting for Juan Soto to make up his mind. And you look at hockey and basketball, mostly, football to a certain extent. But hockey, July 1st comes, boom, boom, boom. This team signed that guy. This team signed that guy. This domino fell. That domino fell. This guy's going there. This guy's going there. It's done. 1, 2, 3. The top bananas come off the board with all of them very, very fast. Now, in the NBA, the sign and trades could take a little bit longer to get together. But hockey, boom, boom, boom. This guy signed there. This guy signed there. Because you have the legal tampering period, which is kind of silly in of itself, because if you can legally tamper with a player, why can't you just sign the player right then and there? But that's what it goes. That's the way it goes. With baseball, we don't have that. So why is it taking so long? I don't understand this for the life of me. Why can't it be a scenario where Juan Soto picks has an initial round, or look, we're going to meet in this hotel. Anybody who's interested comes to this hotel on this day and this time, and you're going to get 15 minutes to present your initial offer. If we don't like it, you're out the door, go home, get back on your airplane and go home. And let's dwindle this down to the 4 or 5 teams that really legitimately have a chance to sign him. Most notably here in New York, the Mets and Yankees. Why is this taking so long? This is what we want. Who's going to meet those demands? And you're going to have a team step up, or a team say, nah, that's too rich. To me, it doesn't seem that difficult. Like, what are we doing here? This has dragged on since Juan Soto said at the end of Game 5 of the World Series, I'm open to every team. Well, okay, that's great, but more than half the teams have no realistic chance. Who's paying $700 million or $600 million? It's the Yankees, it's the Mets, it's the Dodgers, it's the Red Sox, maybe the Blue Jays, maybe the Giants swoop in. But the 4 or 5 teams, maybe 6, that are legitimate suitors for him. Get them in a room, give them each a hotel room, go in, this is what we want. Okay, you're going to do that? Stay right here. We're going to go see if we can scrape a few more dollars off the next team. And then they go back and forth, and you can have this done in a matter of hours. And then all the other teams that didn't get him can now go on with the rest of their business. So this is bothering the crap out of me. Because as a Yankee fan, and if you watch the show and you follow me on my socials and you know my FAN stuff, you know I'm a Yankee fan. So would I love to have Juan Soto back? Absolutely. Not my money. Not my money. So, but as a fan, I would like to see my team try and do the best they can to bring in the best players. And I think Met fans feel the same way. And I would have more confidence that Steve Cohen is going to write the bigger check than Hal Steinbrenner is. Now, How badly does Juan Soto want to still stay with the Yankees? That's what we keep hearing. He wants to stay with the Yankees. But you know what? He also wants the bigger contract. So why don't we just get these teams in a hotel and wrap it up? Like the fabulous Thunderbird said. Wrap it up. You liked that one, Tony.
I did like that.
You did like that one.
Nice.
That was good.
Yep.
It was a nice throwback, right?
That was impressive.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
See, I like it when he pays attention. I love it. What? But I mean, seriously, like, am I wrong here? Am I wrong? Like, why would this take so long? Pete Alonso, we heard some caller called up WFAN and said they were on vacation somewhere and they saw Pete Alonso in a restaurant. Well, Pete Alonso said he wants to come back to the Mets. Well, of course he wants. Of course he's going to say that. What's he going to say? I don't want to go back to the Mets? But we're going to have no idea where he's going to go until Juan Soto signs first. Now, we think it's going to happen before the end of the week or this weekend because the winter meetings are coming up, and you would think it's going to get wrapped up before then, but it's just, it's stupid. It's stupid. We know what the number is going to be around, so get the teams. Look, this is the parameters. Like, all Scott Boras had to do was say, this is what we're looking for. 15 years, $600 million, whatever the number is. Are you willing to reach that number? And they go around the room, or they go from room to room. Yeah, we're in. Yeah, we're in. Okay, we've got the 6 teams down to 3. Now, okay, what's your best offer? And then they go around. I'm an idiot. So I the fact that this is bothering me, like it seems too easy. It seems too easy. But it's taken weeks. The World Series came and went. We had Veterans Day. We had a presidential election. We had Thanksgiving. We had a surprise little mini concert from Mike Del Giudice last week here on the show. All this happened, and Juan Soto's still out there. I can't. And again, like, July 1st comes, and July 1st is a big day in the Schwartz household because it's my wife's birthday, but it's also NHL free agency day, which is also the Islanders never get the big guy that they're looking for because nobody, they don't get the big fish. So that's always a big day. Oh, and by the way, July 1st is also the birthday of WFAN too, so that's celebrated every year. So a lot happens on July 1st, but from a sports standpoint, the big fish go 1, 2, 3. They go. This guy goes here. This guy goes there, and it's done. And then you can have the teams move on to their rest of their big business or their little business. And the same in the NBA. You've got these deals wrapped up, and baseball takes its sweet ass time. It's crap, and I know. The winter meetings are very, very important. They're coming up. A lot of stuff gets done. But if Juan Soto doesn't sign before the winter meetings, you're not going to see much happen. You may see some minor moves, but you're not going to see the big fish. You're not going to know where Pete Alonso's going. Again, maybe that's just me being old-fashioned, but I don't remember free agency taking this long amount of time. It's an arduous process, and it shouldn't be, because Scott Boras and Juan Soto know what they're looking for, and it would be very easy to narrow this down to where they need to get it down to. Having said that, I took a long, I didn't pay attention to ways. I took the long way to get to my ending point. I still think Juan Soto is going to be a Met. Now, could the Yankees swoop in? Maybe they do. I've said it from the beginning. I said it from the moment Game 5 ended. Juan Soto has played his last game with the Yankees. That's what I think. I don't know anything. I'm not an insider. But that's what I think. And If he doesn't come back to the Yankees, that's okay. The Yankees say they have a plan B, and they do. There's still other big fish out there. The Yankees can be just as good a team, if not better, without Juan Soto than with him. He had some big hits. He took them to the World Series with that home run in Cleveland. But they could, if they're willing to spend $600 million on one player, then okay. And this is where I want to see Hal come through. If they don't bring back Juan Soto, if he chooses to go elsewhere, you had committed $600 million or whatever that number is. Let's now take that $600 million, and I'm using it as a round number, but let's now take that and spread it around 3 or 4 players that are going to help you get better in 2025. And if you're the Mets, it goes to the same thing for Steve Cohen. If you're going after Juan Soto and you don't get him, you've got that money that you pledged to him to go around, go bring back Pete Alonso, go get that guy, go get this guy, and make the team better than the team that went to the NLCS. So it can work for both teams, whether they get Juan Soto or they don't. If you're committed to that money, then spend the money. Well, we didn't get Juan Soto, so now we can take that money and we can just build more luxury boxes. No, take that money and go out. And if you don't get free agent A, get free agent B, C, and D, or C, D, and E, whatever that might be. That's how this has to work. Because this past baseball season was too good here in New York to flush it down the toilet for either team. For either team. Again, 2000 was fantastic in general because we had a Subway Series. I mean, I sweated it out because I was as nervous as you could be as a Yankee fan in the Subway Series. But how awesome was that for New York? Baseball is king in New York. I know the NFL people say NFL is past baseball in notoriety and popularity around the country, but in New York, it's all about baseball. And we had a special year. And I just hope that special year continues for both teams in 2025. When we come back on the show, we're going to talk more baseball. My good friend, Sweeny Murti, MLB Media Senior Contributor, my former co-worker at WFAN. We're going to talk about the Yankees and the Mets off-season. Later on in the show, we're going to have Stump the Wiz. That's down the pike a little bit there. But Matt Harmon, the Red Bulls radio play-by-play voice, is going to join me at around 1:40. But coming up next, Sweeny Murti, MLB Media Senior Contributor. We'll talk more about the baseball off-season. That's coming up right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17, And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyWyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday. We are awaiting MLB Media senior contributor Sweeny Murti. We're waiting on him. We'll have him in just a moment, we hope. But in the meantime, we'd love to take your phone calls. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. And also make sure you are subscribing to Gov's Comedy Club podcast on YouTube so you can also follow along with the program. If you don't want to dial in, you can make a comment over the chat. And our big conversation right now is the baseball off season with the Mets and the Yankees. And what are they going to do? Who's going to get Juan Soto? And on the line with us to talk about it, I can't tell you how long I've known this guy. We used to work together at the Fan, and a really good friend, and he is now an MLB Media senior contributor. I want to welcome him to Sports Bash, a repeat visit to Sports Bash, the great Sweeny Murti. Sweeny, it's Peter. How are you?
Wonderful, Pete. How you guys doing today?
Doing fantastic. Thank you for joining us. Before I forget, happy belated Thanksgiving and happy holidays to you and your family. And this is, as you know, a very big time of the year for family, and I know you're enjoying it and wanted to send those wishes on to you.
And same to you guys. You had a pretty good football season, I take it, huh?
Yeah, well, not NFL, not the Jets.
No. We're talking about family right
now. Yeah. Oh, no, we don't have to bring up the Jets. Oh, yeah, Bradley had a great year at WestCon. They went 9-2. And they won their bowl game, so it was absolutely phenomenal. So, yes, that was outstanding.
Very happy for you, proud for him.
Yeah, not a bad freshman year of football, so that was pretty good. Talk to me about the off season. And I know you're not as into the breaking news thing as you were when you covered the Yankees for FAN, but just your observations on how free agency is unfolding in baseball right now. Obviously, we're waiting for the Juan Soto domino to fall, but what's your overall feeling on how the free agency landscape is shaping up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a little bit better than in years past when somebody like Soto might have waited. I mean, remember we had the year Bryce Harper, Manny Machado went into spring training had started, and those guys hadn't signed yet. It looks like Juan Soto is going to be done here within the next week, I guess, from what people are saying. So that would really, I think that's exciting. I think that's something that really gets people going. You're into holiday time, right? And people are going to start wanting to buy their Soto jerseys or their season ticket packages and wanting to, take a big run at some things to get excited for next year. And for the teams that are involved in Soto, if they have backup plans, well, those are going to start to fall right into shape. Not if they do have backup plans, those are going to start to line up. And it feels like there's always a flurry of activity at some point. And I mean, just to guess that it probably happens in the days after Soto signs, because then you start to see teams start to get serious about where they're going to spend their money on the rest of the market.
Right, and then you have the winter meetings coming up too. So once Soto's domino falls, you're going to have all the GMs and all the executives are all going to be at the winter meetings, and that's where you really see. And I know you're an expert on covering the winter meetings, so you know how that goes on.
Yeah, and I don't think it's as, I don't think it's as big of a turning point or indicator as it used to be. There's so much that gets done now. Brian Cashman has talked about, trade proposals via text, right? Like that kind of stuff happens all the time. Now, the free agent stuff, there's a lot of parts to move when you're talking about that kind of money. And the trade proposals are a little difficult sometimes, but I feel like so much happens. It's easier to communicate with people now than it used to be 25, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So the winter meetings were a place where you get people to come together, and you'd have people, you have people making trades that maybe they regretted the next day, because of the way they were wheeling and dealing at
Yeah.
that particular point in time. It's a lot different now. Things are, things might take a little bit different turn once you get to winter meetings. But I think really the thing that gets things moving is getting a big name off the board. And I think that was the complaint a few years ago with that year I mentioned with Harper and Machado. You had those teams that were waiting for him. You were waiting, or you still weren't committing those dollars elsewhere, and you kind of had to get ready for a season. So this is exciting. I mean, you're still, by the time the winter meetings end, you're going to be 2 months away from pitchers and catchers, and it won't feel like that long.
The thing that's, I think, killing a lot of people about the Soto thing is just how long it has taken since the end of the season, because he made the comment after Game 5 of the World Series, I'm open to listening to all the teams, when I think there's really, obviously 5 or 6 that are real serious contenders, including the Mets and Yankees. And you almost wonder, I would think going into this that Scott Boras and Juan Soto had a number in mind, and it would seem to me that it would have been pretty easy to dwindle down the teams that were interested just by getting that out in the open right off the bat. Are you surprised it has taken this long after the World Series for him to sign, or do you think this is just normal operating procedure?
I don't think it's taken that long at all.
No?
Go back and think about, the one that really started to push it, and it was a Scott Boras client, Carlos Beltran signed after New Year's. And we were all kind of waiting around going, what's going on? Because it had been a month after the winter meetings. And, that was still a point in time when you thought December was a lot of the free agent movement. And Beltran signed with the Mets in January. I mentioned how long that Machado and Harper took. We've gone many off seasons recently, very recently, that you're after Christmas and there's still a lot of big names on the board and you're wondering what's going on. The fact that we got to Thanksgiving and people were saying, and Thanksgiving's late, I understand, but we got to December 1st and people are saying Soto's going to make a decision almost any day now, and it could be by the end of next week. That's not that long. I mean, you're talking about it happening before the winter meeting. You just got done talking about how, the excitement of deals at the winter meetings. Now we're talking about Soto potentially signing or deciding before the winter meetings. The World Series ended in, November 1st or something like that. So you're barely 4.5 weeks removed from the end of the World Series. The teams that were interested in him had to make their pitch. Then you had to have time for a second level of, okay, now where are you going to go? Negotiating is a hard thing. And I don't know why people expect it to take, 5 seconds when you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars at stake. And you're talking about a player who's going to decide, this is where I'm going to play for the rest of my career, pretty much.
Maybe I'm just impatient.
Yeah, you think so? You're a Jets fan. You can't be that impatient.
Oh, please, sweetie, come on. That's the second Jets mentioned during this interview.
I don't think that this has taken long at all.
We're talking to Sweeny Murti, senior contributor for MLB Media, and he's joining us here on Sports Bash. So once we get the Juan Soto domino to fall, at least from a New York perspective, I think a lot of eyes will be on Pete Alonso, and I think there was a point during the season, and maybe even into the playoffs a little bit, where a lot of Met fans were resigned to the fact that he probably wouldn't come back. But then he hit the big home run against the Brewers and had a big postseason for the Mets. And I would think from a local standpoint, that would be the next big thing to happen. And what's your gut feeling on where do you think both sides stand on Pete? I'm sure he wants to come back. I'm sure the Mets would love to have him back.
Yeah, both of those are true. I'm sure it's just where's the price point meet?
Right.
That's That's always the deciding factor here. It's like it's not about do you want to be here, do they want you? How much you willing to pay? And he's in a tricky spot. These when they get to free agency and you're talking about trying to commit to the into mid to late 30s potentially. For a guy who's not as athletic as maybe Juan Soto or some of the other players you're talking about in the free agent market, but he's got home run power that even in an era when people are hitting home runs, a guy who's going to hit that many that consistently is going to command a lot of money and should. So I don't know where that ends up, but there's just one thing about guys like that, okay? When you leave, and Soto has moved around already, so he's not in the same boat necessarily. But when you have played only one place in your career and you go sign somewhere else for big money, you have no equity with that fan base. They have not seen you do a single thing in their uniforms. So there's pressure on you right away to put up big numbers, to perform, and to probably over deliver. Rather than just perform. If you're Pete Alonso, the Met fan base offers you a lot of equity and expectation for what you can do. So is that comfort level enough to make the difference between whatever the asking price and the offer is? Don't know, but that's something for him and his family to decide and see where the career goes. But they're in the these are the guys that are in this tricky spot when you're towing 30 and around that line, and will your contract and your body age gracefully? And many cases it doesn't. But I think teams know that going in because you're paying for right now. You're not paying for 6, 7, 8 years from now. I mean, you want the guy he's in his peak right now, so you're trying to get the most out of that and put yourself in a situation where you can win in the immediate future when you sign a guy like that.
I think one of the most fascinating names on the free agent market is the Japanese pitcher Roku Suzuki. And the interesting thing about him is that he doesn't fall under the regular free agency regulations in terms of big money because of his age. I mean, he's going to have to come in at a young entry level type of contract, and I think that opens up the market for him because if he was coming in as a regular free agent, you'd look at the Dodgers, you'd look at the Yankees, look at the Mets and the Red Sox. But the fact that he's going to come in on an entry-level type of contract really opens up the market to some of the other maybe mid-size or even small market teams. What are your thoughts on Suzuki? Because he seems to be a fascinating story to cover.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw him in the WBC. Roki Sasaki is quite an electric arm, and anybody can have him. And I think that's the sales pitch of what these teams are doing, because it's not that big of a gap when you're talking about what you can offer, because it's all based on the international free agent pool money. So I think, and that's something that's going to take a little bit longer to play out because I believe he's on the 2025 pool designation, which doesn't start for another month. So this will be a little while longer. But I mean, I think one of the things we've seen is, especially lately, I mean, we've seen guys like Yamamoto and Imanaga and all the Japanese pitchers that come over, they make an immediate impact. And it's no longer a question of, are these guys good enough or can they adjust? Think about it wasn't that long ago. We go back to Masahiro Tanaka 10 years ago, and there were a lot of questions about size of the ball, the rotation, all these things. We've seen enough successful Japanese pitchers where, this is not a question anymore. And we've seen them play against high-level competition in things like WBC or the Olympic tournaments. And, so there is a lot of interest for guys like that because you're taking a risk with everybody, but I think, 20 years ago, it was seen as a different kind of risk because there were a lot of unknowns. I think we've managed to equalize a lot of that. And you're looking at a pitcher like Sasaki and saying, this is a top free agent, regardless of where he's been pitching for the last however many years.
Sweeny, we have a comment on our YouTube page from Glenn in Flushing, and he wants to ask us, to give our opinion on that golden at-bat story that has circulated where Commissioner Rob Manfred has kind of floated that idea. I mean, I don't really take it seriously. A lot of people are not. Where do you stand on that idea? And to me, it would just, as much as I hate the Ghost Runner, I think this would be worse in ruining the integrity of the game.
I haven't read through like what the whole machinations of the rule would be. Like I don't know like what exactly would qualify the situation and how you determine that. So I can't really fully comment on what it looks like, what it would look like in application. But I think there are a lot of ideas that get floated out, and some of them go through and some of them die on the vine. And we kind of see. I think a lot of the things, baseball's in a weird spot because so many people will say, "Oh, you're not appealing to the young fans," but then they don't ever want to change anything. Okay, so your solution is to keep the game exactly the same, yet have it appeal to younger people. There's always some movement in every other sport too. You got to change the rules and tweak the rules here and there, and figure out what works to make the game exciting product for the fans.
Well,
and
they nailed it with the pitch clock. To me, the pitch clock has been the best thing that's happened to baseball in a long time.
Pitch clock has helped a lot of things. You're taking advantage of the athleticism of the players too with the bases, and the stolen bases have gone up. So these are things that I think were absolutely helpful, and a lot of people probably griped about it when they started. So I don't think that every rule proposal has to be thought of as being accepted. And there are going to be plenty more that are going to be thrown out there. We'll see as time goes here what goes in and what doesn't make the cut. I was reading about Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens tweeted something about. I think it was basically. Let me get this straight. I strike out Shohei Ohtani. He just gets to bat again. Again, without having seen like how it works. I don't think that's the spirit of it. I think the spirit of it sounds like it's bring up somebody who wasn't scheduled to bat that inning, right? Like 7, 8, 9 is coming up, and you could put your 3-hitter in there instead. Not the 3rd hitter strikes out and he gets another crack.
Right.
But again, I don't know how it works, and I don't think we're even close enough to thinking about that.
Let me close with this and circle back to the Yankees and the Mets. I think regardless of how the Juan Soto and the Pete Alonso situations straighten out, it seems that both teams are committed to spending a boatload of money to make changes, make improvements, and ensure that we probably have a similar type exciting season in New York next year. Do you have the same kind of feeling that the Mets and Yankees, regardless of how those two player issues work out, that we will see a really good season of baseball in New York?
Well, I mean, just remember we came really close to a Subway Series, first time since 2000. I know you remember because you were at all those games, right? But remember what happened the year before, 1999. We came really close.
Yeah,
the Yankees made the series, and the Mets fell a little bit short.
Kenny Rogers messed that up.
Does this sound familiar? Right? Like the idea of with teams that and these two teams are not alone. There are a lot of teams that made the playoffs this year and could have considered themselves really on the brink of making it to the World Series, right? You had teams that made great runs like Detroit and Cleveland, and Kansas City was a big story, and Baltimore's been knocking on the door for a couple of years, and San Diego and the Phillies, and these are all teams that should think we're going to make this next move. And however you add, whether it's trades or spending big money on free agents, you're thinking of making your team this much better so you can take that next step. We're excited in New York because, we saw it happen a generation ago, and you can, if you play it out, you can kind of see this still. The Mets and the Yankees haven't been good in the same season a lot. They've, it's only been a few short times in their history where they're both competing and saying we could possibly see them in the World Series. You're in one of those periods now. But I don't want it to, I don't want people to forget about these other teams that I just mentioned. we're so close. I mean, you're a drop fly ball or a home run away from all these series changing in many fashions. So that's how close I think some of them were, and I think it's I think it's going to be fun to see how these teams load up in the course of the next couple of weeks and get us excited for the next season.
No question. Sweeny, thank you so much for spending some time with me again. Happy holidays to you and your family. Hope to see you again soon.
Same, Pete. Have a good one. Nice to talk to you again.
You too. Thanks, Sweeny. Sweeny Murti, MLB Media senior contributor. When we come back, we're going to switch gears, talk a little soccer with the voice of the Red Bulls, Matt Harmon, as the Red Bulls play LA on Saturday in MLS Cup. We're going to talk to Matt. We're also going to have Stump the Wiz coming up. We've got This Week in Sports History. So much to do. Oh, I forgot the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day as well. Tony is giving me a dirty look because he can sense we're going to go overtime again today by a few minutes, which I will apologize for later. But we are coming back right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Hi, I'm...
Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles is the best place to find autographed entertainment and sports memorabilia. We guarantee the authenticity of each and every item in our shop to provide you with quality collectibles anytime you browse our inventory. Our memorabilia includes autographed photos, sports equipment, jerseys, hats, and other paraphernalia from current athletes and legendary sports stars. If you prefer the entertainment industry, we have signed posters, albums, and photographs from classic movie stars and today's celebrities. To give back to our community, we participate in fundraising auctions for local charities. Call us today to request a specific autograph, find a special gift for someone else, or schedule an event. Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz. Just want to let you know that this portion of Sports Bash is presented by TicketBash.com, where you'll never pay a service fee. Check out TicketBash.com for MLS Cup tickets as the Red Bulls face the LA Galaxy at Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California on Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock California time. And to that point, we welcome in the radio voice of the New York Red Bulls, Matt Harmon. Matt, it's Peter. How are you?
Peter, great to talk to you. And I'm super excited to be on the show, number one. And it has been a dream run for this New York Red Bull team. We need one more to bring home an MLS Cup for the first time in franchise history.
It certainly looks, Matt, like Cinderella has found a new home in Harrison, New Jersey.
You know, it's been really interesting because if you're a fan of the team or a fan of Major League Soccer or soccer in general, I mean, the talk around whether it was the Metro Stars or now the Red Bulls has been, prior to this year, 28 years of hard losses, being potentially the best team going into the playoffs, but always coming up a little bit short. And a team this year that goes in as the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. Nobody gives them a chance in the opening round against Columbus, who's the defending champs from a year ago. Beat them in 2 games in a best of 3. And, I mean, what the team has been able to do with a win in Columbus, a win at Citi Field against New York City, and a win last week down in Orlando, Red Bull is the only team in MLS playoff history to win 3 games in a row on the road. You've got to go all the way back to 1998 when the Chicago Fire, in their first year in the league, wound up winning MLS Cup. It's just been unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been amazing, and the Red Bulls once again are going to try to buck a trend from the regular season. Now, during the season, the LA Galaxy 16-0-4 at home. I think that's a total number. And the Red Bulls during the regular season were 4-6-7 on the road, but they've been 3-0 in the playoffs, as you mentioned, and now they're going to try to do something that nobody has done this year in Major League Soccer, and that's go into the Galaxy's home stadium and come out with a win.
You know, I think the interesting part of it, and I was talking with somebody about it the other day, I actually love the fact that the Galaxy, in fact, have not lost at home this year. If you looked, it's a little bit misleading. If you went to the MLS standings webpage, you would see in the regular season, I think it says 13-1-3. The one loss was against LAFC at the Rose Bowl. They played over 4th of July weekend. Mm-hmm. That was a Galaxy home game, but it wasn't played on their home field. So yes, in fact, with the playoffs, of which the Galaxy have been incredible. I mean, they steamrolled Colorado, completely beat down Minnesota. Tough game last week against Seattle in which they won 1-0. They have been so good. I actually think it's great because amongst all the other pressures that these teams are going to be thinking about, you've got a Galaxy team that feels like they are unbeatable at home, and they have been so far this year. I think that actually plays into Red Bull's favor because no one in any of the 3 games or any of the 3 series prior to this one has really given New York a chance to advance. Maybe the NYCFC one, and I think it's just another thing that Red Bull can hang their hat on and say, hey, it's another reason to play with a chip on our shoulder and another reason people don't think we're going to be able to win.
When you look back to the Eastern Conference Final against Orlando, the game is scoreless, and Andres Reyes heads in a great free kick from John Tolkien, a New Jersey native, a wonderfully placed free kick headed in by Reyes. That moment happens, and it just seemed like it was just a delirious feeling on the Red Bull sideline and on the field that, hey, we've just slayed another dragon here on this Cinderella run.
And there's no reason, Peter, to me, to think that it can't happen again. You know, it's not, and it hasn't been in any of the 3 series. Columbus, I know the second game you won in a PK shootout. I mean, that can always go anyway, but the road game against Columbus, the road game against New York City, the road game against Orlando, to me, Red Bull in all 3 of those games has shown themselves to be the better team. It hasn't been one of those age-old stories of, you know, soccer sometimes can be a bit of a weird game, or football, depending if you're looking at it worldwide, can be a little bit of a weird game. You can get outplayed for 90% of the game, but if you get one good ball in and you take advantage of that one opportunity, that's not been the case for this Red Bull team. They have realistically outplayed all 3 playoff opponents in a majority of the game. They've been the better team, and I can't come up with a reason to think that they can't do it again Saturday in Los Angeles.
And you know, Matt, we're talking to Matt Harmon, play-by-play voice of the Red Bulls and the LA Galaxy and MLS Cup on Saturday. I read something online the other day, and this annoyed me a lot because I think this is just sour grapes, but somebody, I don't know if it was a writer or a blog person or whatever, maybe you saw it too on X/Twitter, but somebody posted that it was not fair that the Red Bulls, with the season that they had, it's not right, I think was the actual word, that they get a chance to play for the championship and better teams don't get that opportunity. And I'm like, you know, that's too flippin' bad because, like, you know, the defending champions had a chance to knock the Red Bulls out and they didn't do it. And then Orlando had a chance to knock the Red Bulls out on their home field. They didn't do it. So I don't get the sour grapes from people about this.
No, I've seen that as well, Peter. And that's been, I mean, listen, since Red Bull bought the team when they did mid-2000s, I mean, it's always kind of had that stigma of corporate giant owning a sports team. Clearly the franchise sometimes is not the most liked, and that's fine. That part of it I have no issue with. What I do take issue with is that I mean, I saw some of those posts as well. Most of them, ironically, were from Miami, who in theory had the best team during the course of the regular season, and they got knocked out in their opening round playoff match against Atlanta. So, I mean, listen, that would be like saying, so 2 things that popped to mind. That would be like saying a team in the NCAA tournament in March Madness, well, if you're a low seed, you should just bow out come Sweet 16, whether you can continue to make a run or not, because you didn't have a great regular season. That's
Right.
number one. And then number two, if you want to use that argument that, hey, we were the best team during the regular season, we should be able to say we're the best in Major League Soccer, that would be okay with Red Bull as well, because then they would say we've been the best team, put 3 stars over our crest because they won the Supporters Shield in 2013, 2015, and 2018.
Right.
But in none of those years when they were playoff favorites were they able to navigate the waters of MLS Cup. The best team doesn't always win the Super Bowl. The best team doesn't always make the NBA Finals. The best team doesn't always win the Stanley Cup or the World Series. It's the way life is in sports here in the United States. If you can get hot at the right time, which Red Bull clearly is right now, you have a chance to say, we are MLS Cup champions. It doesn't necessarily mean you're the best team overall in totality of the season, but you are the team that is left standing at the end of the year, and that has a lot of meaning here in the United States.
The Galaxy with a big injury. Puig, their outstanding midfielder, is out with a torn ACL. How does that affect the Galaxy in this game, and do they have enough to compensate for him?
I mean, they are loaded, obviously, from an offensive side of things. So not having Ricky Puig, I mean, you know, anybody that doesn't play with their best player, you're going to be hurt from a tactical side of how you want to do it. Does it help Red Bull? Clearly it does, because that means that you're going to second, third options. Does it change how Greg Vanney and the LA Galaxy want to play? I don't know the answer to that. You know, there's been some that says, well, Puig missed a couple games during the course of the season and the Galaxy played okay without him. I mean, that's a really small sample size, and you are literally taking the best player on your team off of your team on the game's biggest stage here in the United States with MLS Cup. Do they have enough to still make life very difficult for Red Bull's backline defensively? Without question.
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel Peck has been fantastic during the course of the regular season and through the playoffs. They've got weapons all across their front three, but not having Puig play, that is a big deal for the Galaxy. And I think the question that nobody will really know the answer to until Saturday afternoon is, does that change how the Galaxy try and play?
Matt, last thing, where would the parade be if the Red Bulls win? Is it going to be in Harrison? Do they have a celebration at the stadium? What do they do?
I've been told a little bit, Peter, that there could be multiple locations. I don't want to give too many details away. I don't know that anything has been fully confirmed, but I think there could be a variety of locations where there could be some celebration. And listen, I mean, Red Bull and New York City are huge rivals back and forth. It's good for soccer overall in the metro area if you have a team that wins. It was good for New York City when they won over the COVID year.
I didn't like that. I didn't care for it.
It would be great for the metro area if Red Bull finally is the team at the end, because it pulls people back together just from a standpoint of soccer is important in this part of the country.
And let me just also acknowledge how great the Red Bulls organization has been this week. They are paying for tickets for the supporters to go to the game. They are giving them a voucher, a transportation voucher to help them get to LA for the game. They are also flying, as I understand, a big chunk, if not all of the staff to LA for the game. They have really stepped up here for their fan base and for the entire organization to celebrate this trip to MLS Cup.
Peter, as far as I know, and I can't say that I've gone back over 28 prior years to see what other teams have done, this is unheard of and an amazing job by the Red Bull organization and front office. I mean, sometimes they take the brunt of some fan feedback back and forth. We have the best stadium in Major League Soccer in Red Bull Arena to this day, from when it opened till even today, even though there are some shinier wheels that are in Major League Soccer. Red Bull Arena is still the best place to go watch a game. And a long-suffering fan base has been rewarded from a front office that is bending over backwards to make sure that this is the experience everyone has been waiting so long for. So yes, to pay for tickets, to help with travel, to organize things when they're on site, to make sure supporter groups are taken care of, season ticket holders are taken care of. unprecedented as far as I'm concerned in Major League Soccer, and an amazing job by our entire front office. And yes, to that point, I don't think anyone, if you put your hand up and said, I want to go, if you work for the team right now, have you been told you're not allowed to go? If you want to go, you can go and enjoy what hopefully is a great Saturday afternoon in Carson.
That is unbelievable. Matt, thank you so much. Enjoy the game and the call on Saturday, and thank you for spending some time, and let's go Red Bulls.
Peter, I appreciate it. Let's go Red Bulls indeed. Hopefully everyone's tuning in, whether it's on Apple or Fox. And, please, as selfish plug, don't forget you can listen to Steve Jolly and I on Red Bull Radio. You get the local call that you can sync up with one of the TV broadcasts as well. Thanks for having me on, Peter. It was great to catch up.
Yes, absolutely, and good luck on Saturday. Matt Harmon, radio play-by-play voice of the Red Bull. That's the great thing with Apple TV, what they did with Major League Soccer, is that not only do they have their TV announcers, but if you are a fan of a certain team, as he mentioned, you could sync up the local team's broadcast with the TV. Could you imagine if that was possible in the playoffs? We wouldn't have had to listen to Bob Costas do the Yankee games. Could you imagine how great that would have been if I was just able to push a button and I could have had John and Susan instead of Bob Costas? I mean, I like Ron Darling, don't get me wrong. He's great. But could you imagine how great that would have been? And that's what MLS fans have in store on Saturday. We still have a lot to do in a short amount of time, and Tony's gonna get the whip out, and he's gonna stomp on me. But we had an action-packed show. It is time to welcome in Wiz for Stump the Wiz. Welcome back.
Hey, good to see you again.
Good to have you back after a little hiatus there, but we are glad to have you. You can submit your best sports trivia questions to the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. If we pick your question and you stump the Wiz, you will win, and we are giving away 2 tickets to Saturday's Islanders-Carolina game at UBS Arena. And we are going to get the contestant. Hold on one second. I have it on my phone. Here we go. You ready? Do we have 2 minutes on the clock?
Do.
Tony has 2 minutes on the clock. I'm going to give the question, and then I'm going to say the magic words, and then we'll be off and running. Here we go. The question is, which New York Met was the first player in Major League history to be traded for himself? Ready? Which Met, first player in Major League history, Major League history to be traded for himself? We have 2 minutes on the clock. And away we go.
I mean, if you're traded for yourself, that would feel like a bit of like an oxymoron, because someone would be trading someone for someone else, unless it's like someone with the same name. But I don't think that's what it's like in that situation.
No, it's the same person.
Ooh, is it someone I know or an unknown?
Well, I don't have your Rolodex, so I don't know if you actually know the person.
I feel like
That's a great question, Tony, right?
I feel like this was I feel like this was a long while ago.
That would be correct. That would be the hint that I would give you. I just showed Tony the answer.
He's like, "Oh wow."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like this is an old 1960s or 70s kind of guy.
I have to rely on. Oh, I can look up at the clock. Well, that's delayed.
That's
there
what
up
it is.
there.
I got it here. You're just about at a minute.
Just about a minute to go.
I feel like he was on the 1969 championship team. There's just a part of me that feels like that was the case.
That would be incorrect.
Okay, so
you're in the right decade, though.
Okay, so someone from the 60s. I assume it's someone that it's probably less known. Maybe he was an all-star once or twice, but not someone in Cooperstown.
By the way, I forgot to mention the contestant's name is George Monacastro from Bayside.
George Monacastro.
30 seconds.
30 seconds to go. We are looking for the first player. It was a Met. First player in Major League history to be traded for himself. I wonder if Glenn from Flushing knows the answer to this question.
20 seconds.
He could.
He's a big Mets fan. By the way, I just got a text from Warren at Living Legends. Apparently, excuse me, dealing with a little bit of a sore throat.
Cleon, maybe?
Luis Severino's now in Oakland A.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Did we hit 0 yet?
Now.
Now, 0. Sorry, you were stumped. Congratulations, George Monacastro from Bayside. You are going to see the Islanders and the Hurricanes Saturday at UBS Arena because you stumped Wiz with the question, which Met was the first player in Major League history to be traded for himself? The correct answer, Harry Cheedy. 1962, they acquired Harry Cheedy from the Cleveland Indians for a player to be named later. That player ended up being Harry Cheedy, who was sent back to Cleveland. There you go.
I had a feeling it was like early 60s, somewhere in the... I just had a feeling it was somewhere in the 60s. I just had a feeling about that. But
Yep. How about this week in sports history? We'll take a whack at that.
Back in 2023, Caitlin Clark, now with the Indiana Fever, at this time when she was in Iowa, she surpassed the Big Ten triple-double record following her performance against Wisconsin. And, of course, we all know how important she's been for college basketball, also just for the women's game for the WNBA. And I think she's already on her path to be someone will be in Springfield when her time comes. I know it's early.
I think you can write that reservation out right now.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. I'm obviously looking forward to it, but I think she's eventually going to have herself a championship ring on her finger. And, hey, what a legacy she's already left behind, and it's barely even begun.
No question about it. Good job. Thank you very much, and we'll have you back next week for another edition of Stump the Wiz. It's time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, presented by Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles at 124 South Long Beach Road in Rockville Center, Long Island's go-to store for sports, entertainment, and political memorabilia since 1996. They're also available for charity auctions. Give Warren a call at 516-826-4000. Before we get to the question, we want to tell you the item of the week at Living Legends is this really, really cool Jalen Brunson of the Knicks autographed 8x10 photograph. It's framed. Really, really nice piece. And if you want more information on that, you can give Warren a call again at 516-826-4000. Here is the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. Do you trust any Juan Soto information that is reported until he actually signs with a team? Yes or no? I don't. What do you?
No, I do not. I believe who may be interested in him, like, Yankees, Mets, but I'm also hearing the Giants, the Red Sox. For all you know, he could end up playing for, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I think he's got a better chance of playing for the Savannah Bananas than the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tony, what are your thoughts? Do you believe all these rumors every day?
I don't believe all of them, but I do enjoy reading them, and I enjoy the suspense during the winter of trying to figure out.
So you're not as impatient as I am.
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, we'll see. I still think he's going to be a New York Met. Let me take care of some business here. We're going to let you know that next week on Sports Bash, next Thursday, December 12th, we're going to have an in-studio guest, and I am really looking forward to this. Former Jets defensive back Bobby Jackson is going to be in studio with us the day before ESPN airs the 30 for 30 on the New York Stock Exchange. Now, you're saying, well, Bobby Jackson was not on the Stock Exchange. He was the defensive back. Yes, that's true. But he was on that defense. He was in that locker room, and he can speak volumes to what that group was. Marty Lyons, Mark Gastineau, the late Abdul Salam, and Joe Klecko. I mean, that is going to be a great show on ESPN next Friday, and we will talk about it with Bobby Jackson next Thursday in studio. We are efforting a member of the Stock Exchange for next Tuesday. Stay tuned to that. Coming up on Tuesday, December 17th, I'm looking forward to this. We're going to start doing this. We have to come up with a name for this type of thing that we're going to do. But the initial thing is going to be called FOP, Friends of Peter. I don't know if that's going to stick, but from time to time, I'm going to invite a friend of mine from the business to sit in with me for the hour and host the show. We're going to do that for the first time on Tuesday, December 17th. My good friend, Amy McGorry from News 12. She's also Dr. Amy McGorry, so she's a physical therapist. She writes medical articles for FoxNews.com. She's an instructor at LIU. We've known each other for years, and she does sports and news at News 12. And I think that's going to be a great hour with Amy sitting in here. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, go down memory lane a little bit and talk about everything that's going on in the world of sports. That is coming up December 17th. Now, also, and if you're keeping score at home, and I know you are, no show on Christmas Eve, December 24th, and no show on December 26th. We will be doing a show on Friday, December 27th at 1 o'clock. Our regular time, just a day later than our Thursday show. That's Friday, December 27th, and then we'll be back again, stay back on schedule starting on Thursday, January 2nd. So that's the upcoming plan. Looking forward to it. That'll do it for this edition of Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. Thanks to Wiz for stopping by. Thanks to my guests, Sweeny Murti and Matt Harmon. Thanks to Wiz. I had it in the, I don't know why I started with you. I had it in the paragraph. I just was impatient. Just like the Juan Soto thing, I was impatient to mention your name. Thanks to Tony Walker and everyone here at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown. Sports Bash is presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Living Legends Memorabilia in Rockville Center, by Bearcat Building Service, the Marty Lyons Foundation, and Collaborate Studios. For our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz saying thank you for watching. Sports Bash returns Tuesday at 1 o'clock. I'm going home to have a bowl of soup. Have a great weekend, everyone.